What's up, YouTube? Bay Area Baller back again. 49ers are taking on the LA Rams tomorrow. Niners are 3-4. Rams are 3-3. And the Seahawks somehow atop the NFC West. Did not see that one coming. I'm going to be taking your calls here in a sec. But first, I want to pull up the Rams roster and the Rams depth chart just so we can take a look at exactly what the Rams are working with. We know they have a reshuffled offensive line. They've been banged up. The 49ers were able to take advantage of that a few weeks ago, pressure Matthew Stafford, a game which the 49ers dominated. Before I get to the depth chart, you know what? I already got a caller ready to roll. Let's get him on here, and let's say what's up to caller number one. E. Kim, how are you?
I'm good, Eric. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Big game tomorrow. And Kim, I feel like there's a panic narrative going on around the 49ers fan base. You see it on Twitter. It's like, I wonder if a lot of these fans and even the media covering the team, it seems like they forgot. This team was 3-5 last year, Kim, and found a way to make it into the playoffs. And that's what I'm hoping is going to happen this year. You know, ideally, 3-4 is not ideal, but we've been there as soon as last year. So I'm hoping that, you know, we can flip a switch, start playing some better football. We know about the acquisition of Christian McCaffrey. The offense needed a spark, and sounds like the whole playbook will be available to him tomorrow. So that's a bonus. But the downside, Kim, Deebo Samuel's out.
Yeah, I got a little bit of reservation about the game tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see the team lose via 1,000 cuts. You know, you don't want to, like they say, it's tough to play against the other team, let alone yourself. When you're making all mistakes and hurting yourself, you can't win.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know, yeah.
I mean, Jimmy's the quarterback, but in the past 2 games, he's had 5 turnovers. You can't win when the starting quarterback is giving the opposition 5 extra chances to score.
Yeah, and I was finally able to pull up this Rams depth chart because I wanted to look at this offensive line because we're looking at PFF. PFF, you know, grades all these players individually, and as you look across the O-line, the left tackle Jackson, right? He's got a 64 grade by PFF, which isn't bad, but Kim, predominantly he's been playing guard, so the Rams have had to reshuffle the line. They've moved him to tackle now. We see this Evans has a 39 PFF grade. That's awful. So, again, I'm looking for the Niners D-line to be able to take advantage of this banged-up Rams front because Stafford, if you can get pressure on Stafford, in my opinion, that's going to be the recipe for success.
Yeah, it looked like with those PFF grades, hopefully the defensive line gets pressure up the middle because it looks like that's the weakness of the offensive line.
It is.
But also, who do you see covering Cooper Kupp? Because you can give him, you know, the catches, but you don't want him to get another 10 yards after each catch. That's the big problem.
Yeah, well, it's going to matter where's Cooper Kupp going to line up, right? Because we know they move Cooper Kupp around. If they put him in the slot, Kim, it's going to be Jimmy Ward. And I saw some of those interviews in the locker room that Jimmy Ward did, and he didn't sound too enthusiastic about having to play full-time in the slot. I know, you know, Grant and Jaquiski Tart were tweeting about it, and even Kwaski was like, yeah, look, I agree, man. This guy was a top-tier free safety, and now you're going to change his position just a year later. So, but it's like, it's not because the Niners, that was their original game plan. It's like we're banged up, so we had to kind of reshuffle things in the secondary. So Jimmy Ward is now in the slot. So he's going to match up a lot with Cooper Kupp. And I mean, that's a tough cover for any defensive back in the NFL. I mean, Cooper Kupp's route running is phenomenal. And it's like Stafford just eyes him down, Kim, where he'll lock in on Cooper Kupp, wait for him to gain a foot or two of separation and then try to zip it into him. And actually recently, Allen Robinson started off the year really slow. Allen Robinson's been getting some more work as of late, so it's not like you can completely ignore Allen Robinson, although I don't think Robinson's a big play threat anymore. He's more of a possession guy. So what I will say with the Rams, you're going to want to limit the explosives. And that's what the Niners did a few weeks ago when we were able to dominate because, Cooper Kupp, he's going to catch 7, 8, 9 balls. It's just you don't want them to be 40-yard touchdown passes, right? Last time these two teams faced off, Cooper Kupp didn't have a touchdown pass, still had a bunch of catches and a bunch of yards, but no touchdown catch. And I think that's what is most important.
Yeah, I kind of worry about Higbee too, just because he could be. Our linebackers are also beat up too.
That's a great point. Yeah, Fred Warner will be out there, but yeah, Aziz has missed time. Dre Greenlaw's banged up. So it's going to be DFF, Flanagan Fowles, which, Kim, that last game, giving up the screen pass to Jerick McKinnon on 3rd and 20. I mean, that was embarrassing. It was unacceptable. And whenever you give up a big chunk on a screenplay like that, I'm looking at the linebackers. Of course, the safeties, the DBs, the D-line, it's everyone's job. But really, it's like you feel like those linebackers should be flying to the ball and not giving up a 25-yard screen pass on 3rd and 20. That was bad. I like DFF. Oren Burks will probably get some playing time. But yeah, like you say, I mean, missing Dre Greenlaw, missing Aziz Al-Shaair, those are two really good football players.
Yeah. So, got a couple of questions for you, Eric.
Yeah. Please.
To me, I noticed this, and if I'm wrong, it is what it is. I think Andy Reid could have coached that last game against us, eating a cheeseburger and giving Kyle the bird the whole time because he's like, you had Jerick McKinnon, you couldn't give him any plays. I'm like, really? I'm just doing what you did before and, beating you with it and not stopping until you actually stop it.
I know.
To me, that was like,
yeah.
That's what Andy Reid. I was thinking Andy Reid was doing is like, and he knows how to neutralize really good players like Nick Bosa.
I mean, the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed against the Chiefs. Kim, let's see. I had to write down the sequence of play of the possessions the Chiefs had, right? In the first half, Kim, the first possession of the Chiefs game, Patrick Mahomes threw the interception. All right, off to a good start, but it was all downhill from there, Kim, because after the interception, the Chiefs went touchdown, missed field goal, and that was right before half. And then second half, touchdown. I mean, Kim, you can't win a game that way. I mean, the only time the 49ers stopped Patrick Mahomes was that first possession when we got that interception. Other than that, the Chiefs were moving the ball at will. And we know the defense is banged up, right? So it's like the offense needs to take some onus, and they can't keep trotting the defense back out on the field. The offense can't go 3 and out. We got to let this D-line rest. It's because they're banged up, and the offense needs to put up points. Even this week, we know the Rams haven't been lighting the NFL on fire with their offense. In fact, their running game, I'm not concerned about the run game. Darrell Henderson, I'm not too impressed with him. Cam Akers, there's a situation with the Rams roster in Cam Akers. They're keeping that pretty tight-lipped in terms of what's going on there. We know the Rams are trying to trade Cam Akers, but okay, enough about that. Kim, I wanted to ask you because I'm excited about the Christian McCaffrey move, and I expect him to get increased touches. Let's say what's up to the chat. Hey, Eric, thanks for coming by. He said, "Can we talk about how Armstead's been taking up a roster spot for the last 4 games? Not sure why we haven't put him on IR. Blows my mind." That's a great point because he has been taking up a roster spot. The only thing I can think of, is they're hoping Armstead was going to come back, right? Because if you think there's a chance Armstead didn't have to miss 4 games, we know it feels like he has missed 4 games at this point. But if they thought he had a chance at playing, you didn't want to put him on IR because we are light up front, Kim. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Kevin Givens. I was pounding the table for him. I think he's a good player, but I was not expecting Givens to be on the field for 60 or 70% of these defensive snaps. He's more of a rotational guy who you want to keep him fresh because he's a smaller D tackle, So it's having him hold up against a run for 60% of these snaps, I think is a tough ask. So if Armstead had a chance at playing, I understood why, but it is frustrating because if you don't put a player on an IR, it's because you're not expecting him to miss those 4 games.
Yeah, that's the troublesome thing with debating on whether to put a player on short-term IR. Never know if they're going to be out longer than that, or do you really need the spot for a healthier body to come in? But here's my take on Christian McCaffrey, and it's great player. Love the way he plays. But the problem is I don't see that move improving the depth on the team. That's the only thing I see a problem with. And with this and with how the team gets running backs, they get him in the 5th round and beyond, and even in the undrafted free agency. Did we really have to give up so much to get him? It's not that I don't think he's a great player. I believe he is. I don't see the value. And does he fix the pylon we have at right tackle? I'm just saying.
Dear. Yeah. Well, he does not. The answer to that question is no. Christian McCaffrey does not help the right tackle be able to hold up in pass blocking situations. Unless he starts chipping on him, but that's besides the point.
I do see more touches for him against the Rams. I'm not sure how. Maybe more, some short passes, and we'll see. Maybe some screens and draws. Hopefully, Kyle's smart enough to do that because his play calling has been lackluster. But I do have one main point I want to ask you, Eric, before I let you go to the next caller or next set of callers.
Yeah.
With the York family ownership, do you ever see any success that we've had, that this franchise has had, since Eddie DeBartolo was the owner? Do you think that will ever happen? Because I don't ever see it happening.
I mean, that was so rare what the 49ers accomplished with Eddie DeBartolo. I'm jealous that you got to just witness that, more firsthand. I caught the tail end of it, Kim, but you caught the heart and the meat of it. So I'm jealous because I imagine that was and I've heard, from my older friends out here in the Bay Area, it was fun times, man. They were celebrating a lot of Super Bowl wins, just a lot of winning in general here in the Bay Area. And Kim, I see it with the Golden State Warriors. I'm lucky in that sense. So it's like I have seen it in some capacity, although not at the NFL level. And no, I don't, Kim. To answer your question, I don't see the amount of success that Eddie D had and just the volume of winning. Because Eddie D, man, that guy went after it. It's when they came up short, what did he go do? He went and got Deion Sanders. They went and got Ken Norton Jr. They went out and made these big time moves where, I guess you could say this regime is trying to do that. We did just go out and get Christian McCaffrey. But I just think what the Niners did with Eddie D was so rare that it's going to be hard to replicate and hard to duplicate in this era. We haven't seen it from Jed, right? We haven't seen it from him. So I can't go out and say, yeah, we're going to have, that amount of success.
Do you see this franchise winning a Super Bowl by 2030? That's not.
Yeah, I got to be optimistic. I got to be optimistic there. I got to say yes. And, the title of this show is, are the 49ers contenders or pretenders, Kim? So I think that might be a good question to ask you before I go to the next caller. Right now, we're 3-4. The NFC West seems, the talent level is not as strong as I thought the NFC West was going to be. Like we said, the Seahawks are leading the division. All these teams in the NFC West are all crammed up tight, right? So I feel like it's anyone's division. But I want to ask you, are the 49ers contenders or pretenders?
That's a tough question. I don't feel the sense of what happened last season in 2021 with this team for whatever reason. I mean, if you look at the rest of the division, Pete Carroll is building up Geno Smith somehow and resurrecting his career.
He looks good. Geno's looking good, Kim.
And
I know.
Arizona's going to do what they're going to do towards the end, most likely.
Yeah.
And who knows with the Rams. But let's just start with, hopefully they find a way to win in LA and capitalize that for the bye week. Hopefully they'll figure some things out, and then we can take each game at a time. I'm not here to say this team is a contender. I just want them to find a way to win the next game, and then we'll go from there. But if they can string along a bunch of wins, then we can bring up contendership again. That's all I'll ever say.
I got you, Kim. You're in prove it mode. You want this Niners team to prove it to you if they're contenders or not. Okay, I feel that. Hey, Kim, I appreciate you. Thanks for calling in. Send me a text, hit me up because we'll talk soon.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. You have a nice weekend, Eric.
All right, you too, Kim.
Yep.
Kim's always the first caller. He's quick to hit that link. Shout out to E. Kim, but I got to get my next guy on here. You've seen him on Cone Phone. I've seen him on Cone Phone. He's been putting out that Cone merch, working hard. Bryant.
Hey, Mr.
Thanks
Eric.
for calling in. Hey, how are you?
Great. Thanks for having me on. I don't know how I don't know how I can come after E. Kim. I mean, like, he's always a great caller. Every show he calls on, he's always got good facts. Always.
I know. Yeah, I love E. Kim.
So hey, that question, are we pretenders or contenders?
Yeah.
We're contenders. We're contenders. Woo! We are, as long as this team believes in themselves, they don't have to prove it to anybody except themselves. And that might be the most homer thing to say or whatever you want to call it, but when this team starts believing in themselves, that's when we're gonna get on fire. Can I ask you, when we were this last year, when we went to 3-5, did you honestly believe we are contenders? So that doesn't, it really doesn't matter what we think. Our opinions aren't facts. Our opinions aren't, it can totally change in just a couple games. So if we go in and we take care of the Rams and we just keep rolling, we're going to go into our bye. We're going to get a little bit more healthier. Hopefully, Christian McCaffrey can, become explosive like we were hoping. I'm really excited that we got him. I'm so happy we got him. I wanted him when he came out of the draft. Just a phenomenal talent. He really is. Now we got 2 OWs. 3 if you count Juice. So I'm really excited.
Absolutely, definitely. I want to see what he's going to do. I'm expecting a big game from Christian McCaffrey tomorrow, Bryant. Especially, I pulled up Josh's comment. Hey, what's up, Josh? Thanks for coming by. He said Deebo's been a key factor in all the wins versus the Rams. That's true. Deebo goes off versus the Rams. Can McCaffrey replace that production? I think to a certain point, but they will miss 19 on Sunday. It'll be interesting. Josh is right. Yeah, Josh is right. Deebo's out. McCaffrey's going to get, I'm expecting somewhere around 20 touches. Maybe it's 16, 17 carries and then 3 or 4 catches, get the ball into his hands. I thought McCaffrey looked good against the Chiefs in limited touches. I thought he looked explosive, had a couple of 10 or 12-yard runs. So I'm definitely looking for McCaffrey to do big things tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he's going to do great. I think he's our missing Mostert. He can get to the edge where our other running backs couldn't. And with Deebo being out, this might actually be really good for the team to kind of reshape and reform and kind of lean on other players, because it seems like they've been really trying to feed Deebo the ball in certain areas. I can't explain it. Why would you throw the ball to him when he's triple covered? There's just been times, and it's just crazy. And when he's in the backfield, they start coming closer and closer to the line. They know he's going to get the ball. So for us to be able to have our other guys out there, and they're going to have to play, and they know they get an opportunity right now. I think this is a big game for us to step up. I really think we have this opportunity right here. If we lose, we're not out, but this is a game we need to have. We need to have every game. We can't just keep on saying, "Oh, well, it was a conference game, or we lost to an AFC team." Losses add up at the end of the season. And if you don't win enough games, you're not making it.
That's right. Yeah, we got to start winning these games, Bryant, because we're 3-4. 3-4 does not sound like a playoff team, in my opinion. Now things can change. It's still relatively early in the season. We've already mentioned we were 3-5 last year, but these wins got to start happening now. And I agree. It's like it's not only just win your divisional games. Like, yeah, that helps a lot, but you got to win some of these games outside your division.
Yeah. So with the Chiefs game, were you happy? I made this point before when we had the Cardinals game last year. We went for it on fourth down. We didn't come away with points. This time they kicked field goals. Well, you can't kick field goals against the Chiefs. But are you happy at least they got some kind of points out of the situation? Do you think that was the correct decision? And then things later in the game just didn't add up for us, or do you want to see us go for fourth? Go on it for fourth war.
It always depends on field positioning, Brian. I do think Kyle Shanahan is a little bit conservative,
Yeah.
right? I know there was a couple times early in the year I'm saying, hey, I think we should have went for it. Kyle tends to punt it when he's around the 50-yard line if it's 4th and 2 or longer. And a lot of these analytical teams, they're going for it more. You check out the Chargers, Andy Reid goes for it. These teams are going for it. They're being aggressive. And sometimes it feels like Kyle, and I feel like when you have a premier defense, it's more acceptable to be more conservative. But now this defense is banged up. This isn't the same defense that we had week 1, 2, 3. So the defense isn't quite as elite as we know it can be because we're banged up, right? So now I think you got to kind of turn the dial to aggressive. And in some of those situations, we got to go for it. We got to come out with points, because settling for 3, like, yeah, okay, it's cool. It's cool getting 3 points. But hey, if you're putting up 3 and then Patrick Mahomes keeps going down and getting 7, 7, 7, well, then guess what? It's gonna be just like what happened on Sunday. It's gonna be a blowout.
So, big dream in here and stuff. I would like to see our offense one day evolve where we can start going for it on 2-point conversions. I'm a big special teams guy. I like the field goal kicker. I used to play field goal kicker in high school. So I like that position. I don't want to see it eliminated, but with the offenses that go for it on on 2-point conversions, they have so much more confidence, and you can tell the whole team is just they believe in themselves. So in situations like maybe if we score first or something like this weekend, I'd like to see them go for it on go put 2 points up there, get 8 points. And start doing that more and more often, because I think that's going to put a mentality into this team that we're missing. We for some reason Kyle doesn't seem to play to win. He seems to play not to lose.
I know exactly where you're coming from. And speaking on going for the 2-point conversions, you're seeing it now when teams are down 14 points, right? If you score a touchdown, that first one, they're going for that 2-point conversion after the first touchdown attempt.
Yeah.
That way, if they get it, now they're only down 6. If they score another touchdown, they can take the lead with an extra point. If they didn't get it, they go for 2 the second time just to try to tie the game. So the analytics are so much in play, and you see it in baseball. Not to change the subject, but it's like, Bryant, these come like the managers. The San Francisco Giants, Gabe Kapler, he's essentially being told what to do by a computer, in my opinion. They got nerds up in the press box punching in the statistics and the analytics saying, oh, time to change the pitcher. Oh, time to pinch hit for this guy. So it's like baseball's being ran by computers, and football, I feel like it's starting to lean that way, where I don't think Kyle Shanahan's quite there yet. Kyle Shanahan likes to coach with his gut,
Yeah.
and which I like. I think you need a balance of the analytics and gut and feel, because I do think there is something to it. The computer can't tell you, the momentum swings that are happening during the game, and that's where I feel like your gut does come into play. But I'm with you. Shanahan, overall, he's conservative. I want to read this chat. What's up, Emiliano? One of the supporters of the channel. Winning those Super Bowls was awesome. You can see why players, once you win one Super Bowl, you want to win the next one immediately. Experiencing those Super Bowl wins as a fan makes mediocrity unacceptable. Yes, Emiliano. And that's why, I'm not a Jimmy hater, but he's just mediocre. Right. And it's like how you want to strive for something better than that. And that's why, I was all gung ho on Trey Lance. But anyway, we're not getting Lance. We got Jimmy. What Jimmy needs to do, Bryant, he needs to limit these brain fart plays, because there's times it's like Jimmy, he'll be playing pretty good. He'll be making some nice tight window throws, zipping it in, right? Brandon Ayuk's been thriving lately. And I'm saying, okay, Jimmy, you're looking good. And then he has a boneheaded interception, just like he did right before halftime, that just leaves you just pulling your hair out. So Jimmy needs to limit the brain fart plays. And this kind of actually leads me to the question in the title of whether this team is contenders or pretenders. If Jimmy can limit the brain fart plays, Bryant, I think this team can be a contender. And when I say a contender, I mean get into the playoffs. I feel like once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. But it starts at the quarterback position. I think the defense is going to get healthier. It's going to get stronger as the season goes on. Kind of get back that elite defense that we had earlier on in the season.
I'm going to say something real quick. This
Please.
might not be what everybody wants to hear, but I think this is my opinion, but I think it's facts too. Jimmy Garoppolo is not the quarterback this team wants, but it's the quarterback this team needs right now. He does have the mentality to silence the critics and not listen to the noise. He does have the mentality to go out there and keep doing his thing. I think his injuries in the past have really limited his athleticism, whether or not he was on a scale to 10, a 7 when he was completely healthy. I think he's lower than that now. The ACL injury that totally hurt him, but he still has that confidence. I'm not a Jimmy hater. I like Jimmy, but I root for the team, so if he's not on the team, I'm not going to cry. I'm going to next guy up. I'm rooting for him. But with Jimmy, it seems like when he throws an interception, kind of shakes off the nerves a little bit. And then the next drive, he goes down and scores a touchdown. So I'm not so concerned about him throwing picks, but I need him to be more comfortable. I need him to be a little bit more relaxed, because when he's relaxed, like Joe Montana in the Super Bowl, hey, there's John Candy right there. That's what we need out of Jimmy. Jimmy has that feel. It's like, hey, we got this. When he does throw those bone mistakes, we're like, damn, you're supposed to do something. Why didn't you read the defense? Well, again, we're not in his head. We are not hearing what Kyle's telling him. Maybe Kyle's saying, throw it to 3 people, like Deebo's triple covered. I want you to feed him the ball, because those first 5 games in 2017, he was fitting the ball in certain windows that we're like, dang, dude, that's a little, I wouldn't do that too often, but he had confidence. You see, he had confidence in himself. You've seen it at the press conferences. But at this time, we need him to just continue to manage the game and continue to feed people the ball. I don't care if he throws 100 yards. I really don't. If he throws it 5 yards and the guy runs 95 yards, I want a touchdown. Somebody made a good point last night on one of the shows. I'd rather see him throw 200 yards and 5 touchdowns than 500 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's like we just need him to manage the game. So if he needs to throw a pick in the beginning of the game or at the end of the game, I just really want him to put that confidence back inside him and go down the field. And this would be my last question I have for you. So remember when Harbaugh was the coach and he'd smack Alex on the shoulder pads, and he started doing that with Kaepernick a little bit too, but he was like building up his guy. He's like, you're my guy, right? I would like to see that with Kyle a little bit more, but maybe that's his personality. But with all the talk that's happening with Kyle maybe, being out the door here soon, would you be happy with bringing Harbaugh in? And is that just a big smoke dream, or do you think that's reality?
I think it's a smoke screen, Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Harbaugh would come back to coach this team. Would I want it to happen? That's a different question. And I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
I think Harbaugh had his chance. He had some talented teams. Although Harbaugh, man, that guy won a lot of games, Bryant. If you look
Yeah.
at the top 5 most winningest coaches of all time, NFL history, and you're looking at win percentage, Jim Harbaugh's in that top 5. The dude
Yep.
won like almost 70% of the games that he coached for
Yeah.
the 49ers. Like, he was winning at an insane clip. So it's like I wouldn't be opposed to it, but the way I feel about, like, if I'm on the fence, right, then I tend to just roll with what I have at the moment. That's
Yeah.
if I'm kind of like iffy about it, just give me what I got now as opposed to an overhaul. So I'm gonna
Because I
say
feel
no. Yeah.
I feel it too, because I feel like if Harbaugh did come in right now, our team's loaded. So our window's going to close really quickly. Because if we can't make the Super Bowl next year with him or the following year, we're rebuilding. And the one thing that I can say is Harbaugh came into the last team he came into with the Niners, we are loaded. He didn't build that team. He just coached that team. And it's like the same thing if he was to come in now, he'd be taking over a team that Kyle Shanahan built. So yeah, we're loaded right now, but he didn't build it. So after the pieces start going away, is Harbaugh still going to be able to maintain that? And that's where I want to see Kyle just get a little bit more time. I'm not sure if Trey Lance is coming back next year. I'm not sure if they're going for a veteran quarterback next year.
He is. Oh, Lance is going to be here for sure. Lance will be here.
I really want to see him. I want to see him come back. There's been some conflicting injury reports that's come out about his ankle and the significant injury of it. I've had a lot of broken bones, so I know it's hard to come back sometimes. So I'm really want him to come back. But even if they bring him back, there's still talk about them getting a veteran quarterback. So with that, Kyle's going to either get somebody like Kirk Cousins or somebody that's a vet that he's going to be like, okay, this guy goes down. I don't have Jimmy anymore, but I got somebody maybe a little bit better than Jimmy. Maybe like a Matt Ryan or something like that. I mean,
or Andy Dalton. Yeah, something.
Like if Fitzpatrick was still around, I would be happy with him, because he could just fling it down the road. But Bay Area baller, Eric, keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for having me on. I like talking to you as always. See you around, and everybody like and subscribe to this man. Show him some love, and let's stay faithful. Beat LA tomorrow.
Beat LA, Bryant. I appreciate you. Thanks for calling in. We'll talk soon.
Yep, you know it. You have a great day.
Sweet. Yeah, and I like this name right here, Matt Pacafee, and he's asking about Jeff Wilson Jr. And I know the next caller gave me a little preview. I think he wants to talk some Jeff Wilson Jr. Let's get him on here from the UK.
Hi, Eric.
Daryl.
Can you hear me?
I'm feeling good. I got you loud and clear. Thanks for calling in. What time is it over there right now, Daryl?
It's 6:35. 6:35 in the evening.
Okay. All right. Good. That's a good
I have
time.
to say, when I watch the games, it's really late. So when we have a bad game like we had the last 2 games, it's even worse because you're going to bed feeling like shit. Can you imagine? You don't have to do that. You can go to the pub or do something else. But we're like having to go to bed feeling like shit and waking up feeling like shit. So there you go. It's not
okay. Hey, we got you. That's the bright spot of living out here in the States. At least, if our team sucks, we can go to the pub and kind of drink our sorrows away. Whereas our buddies in the UK, they got to sleep on it all night.
Yeah, and then wake up and hope it never happens. You wake up. Did that fuck? Oh, but to your original question, my answer is we got to be competitive. Be competitive. If we go for this game against the Rams and we're not competitive, then I'm angry, because I think being competitive is where we need to be. We got to play, at least we're in the game the whole time. Fourth quarter still in the game. If we're not competitive, then I'm starting. Then that's not good. I mean,
then we're pretenders. To answer the question I proposed in the title, if we're not winning games, if we're not in this game with the Rams, because the Rams are not an elite team. The Rams are somewhat in shambles, especially up front with that banged up offensive line.
Yeah.
So if we can't hang with the Rams at Levi South, because we know Niners fans are going to show up strong.
That's what I mean. And I mean literally play so you're in it. You know what I mean? Like we're in it, because the last couple of games we haven't been in it. You know, they're just the weaknesses. You know, they're exploiting the run games. Like, if we're in the game and then we can pull it off. But I think right now we have to be competitive. We're not even in that stage that you're talking about. You got to be competitive first, and then you know where you're at. You know what I mean? But that's how I see it, because I watch it and I get, you know, the second halves have been terrible. The last two, I mean, they're just like, it's like you're in it and you think, oh, this is, you know, and then the second half you go, you know, it's not even it's horrible to watch, isn't it?
Daryl, last week, the Chiefs' offensive possessions in the second half, touchdown, 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 touchdown. They scored 4 straight touchdowns in the second half, and yet we couldn't do anything. Daryl, the offense couldn't do nothing in the second half.
Well, it was bad against the Falcons. But this is a question that I have, right? And it's just, I might be completely ignorant of what's going on, right? Because I'm hearing everybody saying that Jeff Wilson might get traded. Is this true?
No.
And
I
it's just
think
rubbish.
if they trade him, I think it'd be dumb.
No,
right?
but listen to me, right? If I was his agent, I'd want to be traded. Think about it from Jeff Wilson's point of view. He's got 450 yards or something? How many yards he got this season?
I mean, he's had some. He's looked good.
Right. This is the end of his contract. He hasn't got a contract next season.
Mm-hmm. No.
He's got potentially can get to 1,000 yards, and that's a big thing for a running back, isn't it? Gets
Absolutely.
1,000 yards, you get more money, won't he?
You rush for 1,000 yards. That's kind of the tier of I had a really good season. Right. I just ran for 1,000 yards.
Now we've got Chris McCaffrey. He's not going to rush for 1,000 yards, is he? Now, if he stays with the Niners, is he?
I mean, if he rushed for 1,000 yards in what is it, like 13 games, that'd be insane with the Niners. You know, I don't know did you want to add his Carolina Panther rushing yards?
Will he get another 500? Do you think this season?
We're talking McCaffrey or Wilson?
No, it's about Wilson.
Oh, Wilson. Yeah, no.
Wilson's almost on 500.
Yeah.
So he's got potential to be 1,000, right? If he stays at the 49ers and he doesn't get much, he's missed out on a payday. Think about it from his point of view.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from, and now
I was thinking like that.
Yeah. He's looked good. Jeff Wilson's played well, so it's like you don't know how Jeff Wilson feels about this team going out and getting Christian McCaffrey. Is he like, is he kind of butthurt? Like, man, you know what? I just ran my ass off.
Yeah.
You know, for these last 3 or 4 games, they've been running him into the ground, right? Kind of giving him 15 plus carries, right? And he's been performing well, except for one game. But I know what you mean.
What would you do if you were his agent? What would you do?
You know, I mean, the agent, I don't think you can request a trade like at this point. Jeff Wilson, he's not a big name in the NFL. You know, if you were like a premier back or if you had some pedigree, you might be like, hey, you know what? You guys just went and got McCaffrey, trade my guy. But Jeff Wilson, he's been predominantly a backup. While he's a good backup,
okay.
If I'm the Niners, I am not trading Jeff Wilson. You need some kind of insurance policy. Knock on wood. Christian McCaffrey, we don't want him getting hurt, but he has been hurt the last couple of years.
The other reason, Eric, is he's not going to make it next season, is he? Either he won't make it next season, Jeff Wilson.
You mean really? Back to the Niners?
You think they'll re-sign him with all with Mitchell? They've got the other guy that they did the third round, or the TC, whatever he's called, TC.
Yeah. And
TDP. The other guy, Mason. They're not going to re-sign him, are they? Plus, you know.
What I would do, I can tell you what I would do, Daryl, and I would offer him. It's going to be a low contract, whether it's 2 or 3 mil. You offer it to him, but guess what? If some other team in the NFL is going to pay him 4 or 5 mil, then he is going to be gone. You're right. So it's like I would want to retain him.
That's my point, because I'm looking at all this smoke and noise, and I need, because you know more than me, right? Because you know that this isn't my sport, right? This isn't the sport I know about. And I'm thinking of other sports in that situation. If I'm doing really, really well, I'm not getting paid. The player would ask for a trade because they want to have more records. But then if you say the player and the agent wouldn't do that, then I agree. Because it's not necessarily the Niners. They might value the player and say, well, you know, we want the best for you. You're a great player. You've done well for you. We will trade you simply because we want the best for you. But how about that?
Yeah.
I mean, but maybe that doesn't happen in the NFL. I have no idea.
It's a cutthroat league. It's a cutthroat league.
Huh?
It's a cutthroat league, Daryl.
Yeah.
So, you know, Jeff Wilson, he's an asset. You know, I would only trade Jeff Wilson if I'm getting like a 3rd or a 4th round pick back in return. I'm not trading Jeff Wilson for a 6th or 7th round pick. No way in hell. But the thing is, I don't expect another team in the NFL to go out and trade a 3rd or 4th round pick for Jeff Wilson. I think he's more valuable to us.
So you need to put an end to this. So this talk that he might get traded then.
He's not getting traded. I don't buy it. I do not buy it.
It's
for rubbish.
Clicks, yeah, for clicks. Yeah,
it's for clicks.
Yeah, no, but you can see it from my point of view. If it's like what you called soccer, and you were on my team and you weren't getting played, and you weren't even making it, you know, to the squad, you would ask to be traded or to go out on loan or play. Because at the end of the day, the player wants to play. You know,
he wants to show what he's made of.
Especially at his age, he's not going to want to go and not play, and he just wants to play. So I'm just, I mean, I don't know, you know, that I mean, but you've cleared it up for me. I mean, I really didn't understand it like in that situation. You know what I mean? But I mean, I actually want the best for Jeff Wilson now. You know, I actually want him to do well because he's gone out. He takes so much crap, and all he does is what he does. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Jeff Wilson's played well this year. You know, he's done everything you could have asked of Jeff Wilson. Coming into the year, you know, you're thinking, hey, Eli Mitchell's going to be the guy. Hey, we just drafted Ty Davis Price in the 3rd round. He's going to get some opportunity. But guess what? Jeff Wilson's outplayed all of them, you know, and then now you go out and trade for McCaffrey. So,
yeah, I mean, it must be hard. But I have an idea for you. When it's the bye week, what you should do as it's the bye week, you should do a show, and you should do the top 10 performers at the 49ers this season, and it'd be different. It'd have Banks on it and stuff like that. And then you have the top 10 who you thought would be before the season. And you'll see it'd be very, very different. The list would be completely different. Like Hufanga would be up there. And then the people that would be down would be
Hufanga would be up at the top now in terms of performance levels.
Down, and it'd be all the, but I think that you should get your you know, your channel's really good, and your people who subscribe to your channel, it's a great channel. You should do your top 10 of the performers so far in this season. But I want to compare it to who they thought were going to be the top 10 as well, because it's a completely different list, isn't it? I mean, it's not. I mean, the Deebo's on it. You know, they're not on it, are they? It's like a completely.
Ayuk has surpassed Deebo in terms of this season, right? Yeah. Performance level. Brandon Ayuk's been coming on really strong. Yeah. Deebo, now he's got the hamstring, Daryl. See, the thing with hamstrings, they can be tricky, you know, if you go out. That's why I'm glad we're holding out Deebo. It sucks that he's not going to be out there. But if he tried to rush it and get out there on the field and then he retweaks this hammy, that could turn into a 4 to 6 week absence. Hamstrings are no joke.
And I tell you, you don't have an NFL. You don't have other teams he can have a run around with. Because the best thing before you have is don't go to the main game. Try it out in a practice game, and then do it. How your hamstring is, because you only really know after you've played. You think your hamstring could be great, and then it can go. Once you actually start to play, you can be fine in practice, and then it goes. But the way you do know is getting through a whole game. That's the only way you know that you've done well. But so my last question to you, if you're not, who are your top 5 this on our current 49er team that have actually, who are the top 5 this season performance wise? Who would you rate at the top 5?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the Niners depth chart here just to make sure I got my ducks in a row. I don't want to miss anyone who's been balling out. Okay. Let's start at 5, and we got to start with the biggest surprise on the O-line, in my opinion. Someone who's played really well, and I'm looking at the left guard, Aaron Banks.
Yeah.
He was the highest graded performer per PFF last week against the Chiefs. Aaron Banks. The thing is with O-line, Daryl, is if you don't see them getting beat and manhandled, then
and
in my opinion,
Banks
they're
doesn't
doing
give them many penalties, does he?
And the penalties. So it's like
if
you're not noticing anything negative, that means the offensive lineman's doing good. And it's like Banks, I haven't been shaking my head like McGlinchey this past game. I'm saying, damn it, McGlinchey, what are you doing? But Banks has played really well. So I'm going to put Banks in there at 5. All right. Next up, I'm gonna go with the trade man himself and Jeff Wilson at number 4. I think Jeff Wilson has played well up until this part. I don't think we would even have 3 wins on the season if it weren't for how Jeff Wilson has filled in. All right. So I'll put him in at 4. Okay. At 3, I'm going to go BA, Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
I thought, and Ayuk's a guy who I've been a bit critical on. You know, before the year, I felt like a lot of fans and media were dubbing Brandon Ayuk like a stud number 1 wide receiver before the year even started. And I was pushing back a little bit. I was saying, hey, you know what? He's got to prove it to me. He hasn't even had a 1,000-yard season yet. And he's starting to prove it to me. I've been impressed with what I've seen from Brandon Ayuk, especially these last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'll put BA in there 3rd. And I mean, Talanoa Hufanga, is he number 1? Is he no, you know what? I'm not going Hufanga 2. I'm not going Hufanga 2. I'm going to go Nick Bosa. He missed a game, but Bosa has still been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I mean, Nick Bosa's he's a great player. Although I was kind of disappointed last week against the Chiefs that the Chiefs, McCole Hardman had 3 touchdown passes on the same play, Daryl, on these jet sweeps he's running.
But he did sack, but he did get the sack, so that he did sack Patrick.
Yeah, but there was one that Hardman ran right in front of him, and it was like, Bosa, dude, you couldn't make a play. But it's like that might be nitpicking, right? Because you can't make the perfect play every time. Sometimes it is going to get past you, but that was just one play I wanted a little more out of Nick Bosa. Like, man, get that tackle for a loss to stop that touchdown. But overall, Nick Bosa, phenomenal. And then number 1, I mean, Talanoa Hufanga, man, this guy, he's playing at a Pro Bowl level. He's flying around, making plays all over the field, tackles for loss,
I mean,
interceptions.
He's the bright spark of the season. You missed out somebody, right, who could have made that list, but he had a bad game last week. But other than that, he's been really, really good.
Let me see. Can I figure it out?
I mean, other than that, it was like, wow. But then I suppose Mosley got injured, so maybe it was because it was the 2 of them. But
who did I leave off? Tell me, who did I leave off?
Moody Ward. He's been like outstanding apart from that last game, hasn't he?
Yeah. He has been. I think I got a bad taste in my mouth.
Maybe it was the 2 of them. Maybe it's just come the whole second, the whole sort of cornerback's gone to pieces because of Mosley.
Well, and I think he was a little dinged up last week, Daryl, right? He had the groin injury. He has, but he was bad last week, though. So I think I got a bad taste in my mouth. Marquez Valdez-Scantling burned him for a couple big plays.
Okay, but before I go, you got to tell me the 5 that you're most disappointed with. This is the one. And you have to be completely honest. You have to tell me I'm really disappointed with these for the season so far.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling there's going to be some injury guys in there, right? You know, because I mean, if you're not on the field, then that's disappointing. So, you know, I got to start off with the 2 defensive tackles, right off the bat. Javon Kinlaw,
Yeah.
Eric Armstead. I mean, these guys are missing chunks of the season, Daryl. And it's like,
No, that's
we
true.
got these replacement guys who are doing okay. But, Kevin Givens, Hassan Ridgeway, I mean, these guys they're supposed to be backup kind of rotational players who have now been thrusted in to primary starting level roles due to the injuries to,
And the
Kinlaw, to
trade, they
Arms.
got rid of Denver, didn't they? What's Jones? He was good, wasn't he? He really stopped the run last year, didn't they?
Man, DJ Jones. Yeah. Well, the Broncos, they paid him a lot of money, and that's the thing. The 49ers, we've dished out a lot of money to these premier weapons we have, or, we have a lot of talented players that we paid handsomely. Talking Kittle, Warner, Trent Williams, Deebo, like we're dishing out all these huge contracts. So when you're doing that, Daryl, some of these other, like the good players, maybe they're not elite, but the good players like DJ Jones, some of these other teams they're going to overpay what you can offer financially. So that's what happened there. It's not that DJ Jones isn't good. It's the Denver Broncos had more capital available, and they paid him well. So rightfully so. DJ Jones went to Denver, took the money. So I gave you two that I'm disappointed in. Let's see if I mean, what about Deebo? What about Deebo?
It's really bad, right? I got myself a freaking Deebo bloody signature, and he's done that. He's fucking been shit. I'm really pissed off. And
it's going to turn around. It's going to turn around, but it's been disappointing. It's been flat out disappointing so far.
I picked up Deebo so much in England. I picked him up, and I should, you know what I mean? I mean, watch this look. And it's just really, really, I think his off season was wrong. He didn't come in right. And I don't think he's conditioned enough. I mean, even my son says, hasn't he put on loads of weight? Why is Deebo so big now? He has, looking at him like, is he the same I don't think he's the same Deebo as last season. Yeah.
You think he packed on a few LBs?
Past a few, and I think that I don't know what it is. I think maybe he eventually will come round or whatever. But I mean, he was so. I mean, to be so good, and now to be how you are, the drop off is unbelievable. I mean, it's the biggest drop off out of anybody who was that.
Hey, Daryl, I gotta address this comment real quick. I'm sorry to cut you off. Tommy Huxley says Tommy is greater than Baller, and here's what I gotta say to that.
Hell no. To the no. Yeah, to the no.
Hell nah.
But I mean, the drop off. Don't you think there's been such amazing, and that's a major drop off. Like as a player. Or
remind me the drop off between what?
How he was this. I mean, okay, in a baseball situation, because I'm doing your sport, it's like a home run guy getting 50 home runs, and this year getting 5. That would be like the drop off.
Oh, Deebo. Yeah.
I mean, it's
a huge drop off.
Just a little drop off. It's like from being like the most amazing player, and to be in the situation, and I don't know. Is it because people have figured it out? Do people figure out? Have they got more tape on Deebo? Do they know what? I mean, you'd know that. Why do you think he's dropped off so bad?
I think defenses know when Deebo's lined up in the backfield, he's getting the ball, like 75% of the time. That's an estimate, but it seems like when Deebo's in the backfield, he gets the ball. Last year, it still kind of caught teams off guard. But now after a full off season, defenses know, hey, when Deebo's back there, let's hone in on him because more than likely he's getting the rock. So I think there's some of that going on. There could be a bit of bad luck, right? I do think there's going to be better Deebo games coming, right? I agree with you. It's been disappointing so far, but I'm not panicking. If I'm a fantasy football owner, I have Deebo on my team. I'm not trading him away, for 10 cents on the dollar. I'm holding him because I do think there's brighter days ahead. I still think Deebo is a phenomenal player, but the production's been disappointing flat out.
I mean, I hope he turns it around and does stuff, but I think he just needs one really good game, like a proper game, like where has he gone for over 100 yards this season? in a game? I don't know without looking at his stats. He hasn't had
I'd have to pull it up.
I mean, I think he's had a few touchdowns. He's never had a game where he's completely dominated like he did last year. Yeah, if he had that game, it would just maybe he needs a bit of confidence. But I mean, he does drop a lot, and I think last year it wasn't a problem. But if he didn't have last year, imagine if this was his sort of year without last year, people would, he'd have it really harder. But he's still got that good vibe from last year. I mean, people be yelling at him for his drops, wouldn't they? Some of them.
Absolutely, yeah. Deebo drops too many balls, and I had to refresh it. But Deebo went off against the Rams early on in the year. He had over 100 yards. Deebo always performs well against the Rams, and that's why. Hey, it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. We're going to need Christian McCaffrey to show up.
What do you think about tomorrow? We got a chance or not? What's your vibe? Do you think we're?
I'm expecting to win. I'm expecting to win tomorrow. I'm expecting to get after the quarterback. Matthew Stafford's a statue back there. That offensive line is in disarray. They got a guard playing tackle. They got rookie guards that are on the field. This D-line, although it is banged up, I expect Nick Bosa, Samson Ebelcam, Drake Jackson. I want these guys to get after Matthew Stafford, because if you make Stafford uncomfortable, that's the recipe for success. Daryl, you got any last thoughts? I want to get to my next caller.
No, I just say, look, well done for your channel. Keep it going, and it's good. It's good to have this talk, because it's good to have someone who actually knows what they're on, and I don't understand, because when you hear stuff like that, you just don't know. But every year I'm in this, I'm going to get more and more. What's the word? Have experience of what's going on, so I can understand.
No, you're good. Hey, don't downplay your knowledge. You know your stuff. And I like your perspective, because you're not here in the States kind of feeding off.
I'm a dad, and my kids play sport. And I just, at the end of the day, as much as you like a team, there's a human being involved. And I know these players are not treated like human beings. They're treated like cattle. But at the end of the day, they're human beings, and you want the best for them. Do you understand? And that's how I feel about Jeff Wilson. I would be really fuming if I was Jeff Wilson in that situation. But you want the best for him right now. That's what I say,
No doubt. Hey, Daryl.
Have a good one.
Thanks for calling
Keep
in.
the faith.
I will. Hey, let's win tomorrow. Let's get in the playoffs. Anything. Oh, last question. Are the 49ers contenders or pretenders?
Can I just say this again? I really wish I'd know, but right now I just want them to be competitive. I want to go thinking they've given it all, not given up, hitting hard, right? I want to see energy. I want to see. I don't think it matters right now. That you just want them to go out there and give it everything. Where it doesn't matter. I don't think the result matters right now. The result matters. They got to put 2 bad performances away, which were terrible. And though you have to play well, because this is an unlucky sport. You can miss by field goal, the thing can go, but the players have to start playing better and have a bit more, tempo, belief about change. And I think the good thing about it is I think that Christian McCaffrey might be a player that can breathe positivity into the team. That's what I'm hoping, because you have that in certain players that have that. And we just need to have that, because I don't want to sort of watch a game and in the fourth quarter it's all over and it's just frustrating. I just want us to be in the game no matter what. That's all I want. So I can't answer that question until we can see that we're competitive. But anyway, have a good one.
Yeah, have a good rest of your weekend. All right, go Niners. Thanks, Daryl. Daryl's the man, all the way from the UK. Tommy, thanks for the super chat. Tommy says, I knew losing Jodes would bite us in the culo. Yeah, man. DJ Jones, that dude was a talented football player. He was a run stuffer, but also when you tried to block him one-on-one, that dude was powerful. Like, he didn't get a ton of sacks, but he could push the pocket and affect the quarterback, move him off his spot, and that helps, the other edge defenders, Nick Bosa, Samson Ebelka, some of these guys get to the quarterback by the push he was getting up front. But hey, Tommy, you're the man. Thanks for the super chat. That's the reason this money is raining on me right now. Let's get to this next caller, man. I haven't chatted with him in a while. Waruna, what's up, Waruna?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, I'm better now that you're calling in, man. How are you
After
feeling
long time.
about? I want to ask you about the McCaffrey move because I haven't talked to you about it. Like, what was
Yes.
your perspective on the McCaffrey trade? Did we give up too much? Are you excited about it? Was it like, did you love it? What were your thoughts on it?
I would say I was neutral on that because the reason is yes, he's a great player. At the same time, you have that fear back of your mind, his injuries, because last 2 years he has played only 10 games. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm just trying to like decipher it, basically trying to understand why 49ers did it, because it was like they want to prove to us, the fact, maybe the fans, whoever it is, that they are going all in. But rather than going all in, they have so many problems other than running backs at the moment. I think running backs would be the like least worry at this moment for me, because we have Jeff Fields and Mitchell would come back. We have Jordan Mason, then we had even Tevin Coleman. So I thought that was kind of a desperate move. Maybe just try to like uh, stable the position of Kyle and John Lynch, because now they have spent more draft picks. Even if there is a new coach and GM combination, they don't have anything to spend,
Do you
right?
think they're feeling like they're on the hot seat? Is that kind of why they made this move? Their seats warming up, and they're like, hey, we need to make something happen because the season, was kind of going on, something like it was
Yes.
going on a negative trajectory. Hey, you get Christian McCaffrey. Now the fans are excited and potentially, I don't want to say he can save your season, but he can definitely spark it. Now, whether that spark leads to a full-blown fire, that remains to be seen.
Yes, because the reason is, if you, let's just go back to one season back, right? 2020, we all remember, sorry, 2021, all we do remember is that we went to the championship game. But let's look at the four teams that went, reached to the championship games, like Bengals, Chiefs, Rams, and 49ers. Out of these teams, who had the most difficult regular season? I mean, Bengals were fighting for it, but Chiefs just cruised through, Rams just cruised through. But 49ers, they had so much difficulties getting into that off season.
I mean, starting
Playoffs.
out 3-5. I mean,
Yes.
when we were 3-5, I did not think we were making the playoffs. I can't lie.
Yes.
We're 3-5, but hey, Shanahan turned it around, and that's what I'm hoping he can do this year. He proved it to us. Hey, he got this team to play well.
Now that comes the next part, right? So
Yeah.
last season they were just saved due to pure luck, especially in that Green Bay game, and there was a Bengals game. There were multiple interceptions that were not picked up during the even overtime, and Deebo Samuel magical season. So these things does not happen twice in a row. Basically, the lightning doesn't strike at the same place twice, right? So they know Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, in their hearts, they know how difficult last season was, how lucky they were not making it to the playoffs and having a losing season, like fourth losing season in 5 years. So I think this is a desperate move just to save this season, nothing else, because they have nowhere to look. Even if we say, let's say, for example, we can argue that they had bigger needs, but for example, offensive line, were there any good players available in the market to trade, right? Were there any other like corners or defensive linemen? There was none that would bring excitement like Christian. So I think that's why they made the move. They just wanted to like feel, okay, there is something we can do. We can bring that magic back. There, as you said, there will be a spark, but to me, it's just a desperate move just to trying to save their seats.
You know what? That was very interesting. The lens how you looked at it, because I was looking at, hey, this team was 3-5 last year. They did it, so they have, they've done it before. They have some experience kind of being in this situation. But you're looking at it as, hey, they got lucky last year. It's going to be hard to duplicate that. And I wasn't looking at it through that lens, but I can see why.
Just think about this, right? Chicago Bears into the third quarter, they were leading 49ers 16-15. What happened?
Deebo Samuel. Right? Deebo Samuel took an 80-yard screen pass to the house. And it's like, that is, you can't count on that. That is not dependable. I mean, that's a hell of a play by Deebo Samuel, but it's not something that can be replicated week in and week out. Yes. So I understand where you're coming from. It makes a lot of sense.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm not like I'm not enjoying the situation like I told you so, but I'm just trying to be realistic, because there are certain things, because NFL is a league that has a parity, so much competitive, because it's really difficult to duplicate something. Even New England on their peak, they never won like 3 Super Bowls in a row, right? Even winning 2 in a row, they went 17-0, still lost the Super Bowl. So it's pretty difficult to replicate things. Reach the greatness again and again, year in, year out. So that's why I think this is just a year that we are going to realize the harsh realities. What
has to happen tomorrow, Waruna? I want to ask you, what has to happen tomorrow for you to say, you know what, 49ers showed me something. This team actually is a contender? Because the question I've been proposing to all the callers is, are the 49ers contenders or pretenders? Correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like you're leaning on the pretender side as of right now. Is that true or false?
So I would answer this question in a different way, right? Because, to be honest, I'm kind of tired of hearing people saying contenders, right? Every time we see a team is doing well, not just the 49ers, people would say, oh, they are Super Bowl contenders. They are Super Bowl contenders. But the reality is, there is a difference between being a contender and actually winning a Super Bowl. These are two different things.
There is. Absolutely. But if you're a contender, it means that you're going to make the playoffs and have a shot at it. That's how I'm looking at it, and kind of how I'm phrasing it when I'm saying, is this team going to be a contender? Because you're right. There's a difference between, Super Bowl leaders, Super Bowl favorites. Like the 49ers are not Super Bowl favorites, right? That's the Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, but are they contenders? Can they get in the playoffs? And can things kind of break right where they could win a Super Bowl? That's kind of how I'm phrasing it.
Yes. Okay. My answer for that would be no. Even if they win tomorrow, they would not be contenders until they prove that they have the real ability to consistently win football games. That's what we are seeing missing from this football team, right? Even if we have to win tomorrow, let's ask the other. Let me answer the other part of your question. What do we have to do tomorrow if we are to win? Basically, all the players around Jimmy Garoppolo, they has to walk the talk. They have been talking, right? So far, Kittle, Deebo, everyone, even last week, like Kittle was like, okay, we have to do better. Players have to execute, so on and so forth, make decisions, coaching, etc. But he dropped a ball on a third down conversion situation. Deebo dropped balls. Ayuk dropped. So they can't let that happen, because week before that against Falcons, I believed Jimmy played okay. He created enough plays for the win, but Ray McLeod dropped a deep ball, then Charlie Warner, then Jake Brundle, That stupid penalty negated Brandon Ayuk. It was a very good throw to the outside the numbers. So Jimmy is making enough throws to his ability. I mean, he's not top 10 or top 15 by any means, but still he's making plays to his ability. Yes, last week.
He is. It's it's the brain farts. He's looking
Yes.
good. He'll make some nice throws, but it's just the brain fart plays that leave you scratching your head and the turnover worthy plays. Jimmy's got to cut those out.
Yes. So basically, the players has to, if they, I mean, this is what I'm saying to these players, right? Because we all know how they love Jimmy. The article from Mike Silver came after Trey Lance's injury. That shocked me, but that's the truth, right? The players do believe the team is better with Jimmy Garoppolo rather than with Trey Lance. If you say so, if you believe so, then act like it. Go onto the field and play like that. If you believe in Jimmy, make sure you don't have a negative impact from his mistakes. So you make up for that. If you can't do that, then don't go out in the public or in private like some cowards saying team is better with Jimmy Garoppolo than Trey Lance. Mike Silver is a journalist who has a credibility. Nobody has denied that article. I didn't see anyone saying Mike Silver lied. So anywhere right after Mike Silver's article. So I believe what Mike Silver said is true, which means this team has some clicks, some portion of the players believe in Jimmy. I'm fine. If you want to believe in Jimmy, that's totally fine. But prove it to me that you can win with Jimmy, because I'm sick and tired of hearing that Jimmy is just a winner. He just wins. He took us to the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. All that is in the past. So this is a new year. This is a new season. So prove it to me that you can do it. So that's what I want these players to do tomorrow, to show me that they can win with Jimmy Garoppolo, the version that they have.
I'm with you. Yeah, and honestly, that was a disappointing article when Mike Silver came out and said some players, they're not that they were happy Trey Lance got hurt, but that they think they have better chance at success with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. Because it's like, dude, we've seen what Jimmy does, man. We've been there, we've done that. Like he's all right, he's okay, but he's turnover prone, and the turnovers happen in crucial situations. Like Jimmy is not clutch, right? He's not clutch. If you talk to some Jimmy stans, they'll point to, some like a pretty good third down conversion rate, but it's like, dude, we could go back and look at, so the Kyle Shanahan statistic that popped out, right? What are they? They're 1-30 when trailing by 3 points. Was that in the fourth quarter or the second half?
Yes, stepping into
fourth quarter, right? So
yes.
It's like, but that statistic also works for Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe not for all 31 of those games, but a large chunk of them also fall on Jimmy G. So it's like Jimmy isn't clutch either.
Yeah. So basically, even for this year's the mishaps, I don't blame Jimmy. I have been critical of Jimmy last year throughout about his mistakes and everything. But this year, I'm not blaming Jimmy, because technically he's a backup quarterback who is making $6.5 million. On top of that, he's making incentives. So basically, roughly, he would make maximum 12, 13 million, even if he plays well. So he's the technically backup guy who has been basically fired by this team, right? So it's not his
They
fault.
tried to get rid of him. They tried to.
Yes. Basically, even he talked about, I think before the game against Panthers, he talked about that they had trade talks with him, trying to get a deal done, so on and so forth. So that's the reason, right? So Jimmy is not yes, Jimmy is part of the reason that we are losing the game, but he's not to blame. Because how much can he do? Because that he's who he is, so he's not going to improve. Because even I don't buy into this argument that he's a 8-year veteran in this league, so he has to do better. but he's an 8-year veteran who has eventually went in a downward trend. He's not a guy like some other quarterbacks who goes in upward trend, having improvement year over year. So we all know that, right? So so now that's why there is a reason that he was a backup quarterback. There was a reason the entire league did not want to sign him. So I'm not blaming him. So I want other players, the coaches, coaching staff, and everyone to step up to neutralize the Jimmy Garoppolo effect and win football games. If they can do that, it would be fine, but it's going to be a huge task.
I'm with you. I like where your head's at. Well, Runa, why don't you help me run through some of these comments,
Yes.
and then we'll kind of wrap it up because we're over the hour mark. But I want to hit up some of these comments. So I got Matthew Mears. Shout out, Matt. Thanks for coming by. Kyle's a fraud. He's coming in. He's coming in strong here, Waruna. Kyle's a fraud. I had to turn Deebo into a wide back last year to save this offense. Now defense is adjusted to it this year. So we went out and got CMC, a real play caller, can make do with what we got. How do you feel about that comment?
I wouldn't say Kyle is a fraud, but at the same time, I would say Kyle is kind of a arrogant coach who is not learning from his mistakes. I would say that because end of the day, you need to have a quarterback to win these games. That's the reality, whether we like it or not. Because the most difficult position in all sports that I know is a quarterback. Even in NFL, you don't have 32 good quarterbacks. That's how difficult it is, right? I mean, forget about the backup quarterbacks and so on and so forth. You have like only 15 good quarterbacks, 15 good quarterbacks, not even elite. I mean, if you take basketball, you have like, I don't know how many elite level players that you have. Even within a team, you have one or two. So that's the reality. So that's the reason. But I think he is to blame for most of this situation. But I think maybe he will prove it wrong, but it will take time with a real quarterback.
Emiliano says Philly's literally undefeated and have 0 players injured on their chart this weekend. So y'all can miss me with the luck narrative concerning the 49ers proclivity for injuries. Yeah, man, Philly's really healthy. 49ers are really banged up. And Jaquiski Tartt, I saw the interview with Vish. I don't know if you saw it, but Jaquiski Tartt was saying, hey, he kept saying that Philadelphia knows how to rest their players. And I wish he would have expanded on that thought, because it's like, what is it, like a shorter practice? Is there more rest during practice, or there's off days like in between the practice? But he said they rest more and that the 49ers hit more and it's more physical. So that's, I don't know. They got to switch something.
Kind of
something's got to change.
Two-way street, right? For example, now, Grant always talks about it. Grant says 49ers are soft. Kyle is soft when it comes to practices. He says Jim Harbaugh used to practice really hard, really physical at practices, so that made sure the players are in football shape come the season so they don't break down. So that's one argument. And 49ers are not, yes, 49ers have this injury bug. At the same time, look at Baltimore Ravens. They were the most injured team last year. This year, again, they are getting injured all over the place.
Yeah.
So, maybe, yes, there might be some things, technical stuff that has to be figured out. But sometimes I really don't know whether in a game like football, so physical, so violent, there are how many things that you can to avoid injuries. Artificial turfs are number one reason. I hope NFL get rid of that. But other than that, coaching and everything, I'm just skeptical about pointing fingers when it comes to these injuries.
No doubt. And I wanna say what's up to Jay in the Bay. He says, "What's good?" That was terrible. That was scratched. I gotta edit that one out. That was really bad. Only Jay. I'm not even gonna try again. Only Jay can do the "what's good." He said, "Barry Baller and the faithful." What up, Jay? Thanks for stopping by.
We can answer the previous comment. There was a comment you
Yeah. Was
showed.
it about the juice
No,
or about
before that. Yes, this one.
yeah.
I think the reason is 2019 team again. Were they were a dark horse. League did not expect them to be that good. I think the projections was I remember I can't remember who was this guy on national media. He predicted 49ers to go
Adam Rank. It
4
was
and
Adam
13 something.
Rank for NFL
Oh,
Network, and I went at
yes,
Adam Rank on Twitter right
yes,
after he proposed that. He gave us like L's to all these crappy teams. It was L
yes,
L L L L.
yes,
Adam Rank, dude doesn't know what he's talking about. Although
yes,
now he got beat up so bad that season for that record prediction. Now he tries to be kind of like
yes,
Niner, almost like a Niner homer, right?
yes,
He's got to flip it because he got beat up so bad. He was so off with the record prediction. That's what we're talking about. He had the Niners winning like 3 or 4 games that
yes.
2019 season.
Yes. But still, the thing is, this team reached its potential peak in 2019 because there were so many things were insane. Because the league were yet to like figure out how to stop this Jimmy Garoppolo short game, the throws underneath, the check down, so on and so forth. But after that, the entire playbook was out. The teams knew how to stop Jimmy Garoppolo, stacking up the box. The run game is gone. So basically, unless otherwise you have something different at that position, you are not going to succeed. So 29, I think it would be unfair to say why we can't repeat 2019, just simply because it's the nature of the league. Because these are smart coaches out there getting paid millions, so many analysts, so on and so forth. So it's really difficult to simulate one more time.
Yeah. Well, Runa, I'm gonna wrap it up here. But Matt, see, 49ers fans, man, we're getting impatient, right? Matt's not the only one. This narrative is going across Twitter, and I've seen it in other YouTube chats. Like, people are fed up, including Matt. Shout out to Matt. He's on fire.
Yes.
Hold on. I got something for Matt here because where we at? Yeah, right here.
Scorching hot takes.
Trade Kyle, trade Kittle, cut McFloppy, cut Juice. Matt's fired up, and that was a scorching hot take.
I like
Scorching hot takes.
I agree with 75% of this statement. Trade Kyle, no. Trade Kittle, yes. Even last year I was saying trade Kittle. Cut McGlinchey, yes. Cut Hughes, yes. Or trade him. Yes, 75% I would agree.
See, I'm actually on the flip end. Like, I would probably trade Kyle if I could get like a John Gruden haul where it's like multiple, day 1 or day 2 picks. If I could get a John Gruden haul like what the Raiders got when they traded him to the Bucks, that'd be enticing because now you still got the weapons, right? You still got McCaffrey, who you just gave. Now you're getting the picks back to replace what you traded out. And my caveat to that is Jed York would have to go and hire Ken Dorsey, former 49ers quarterback, Ohio State national champ, offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. Like, so that would be intriguing to me because now you got all these weapons and you just got the picks back from trading Kyle. And now you got a new offensive mind who might even be better than Kyle Shanahan, potentially, maybe. So that'd be enticing. But let's hey, Waruna, I'm about to wrap it up.
Yes.
Thank you for calling in. It was nice chatting with you. Haven't
Yes.
chatted with you in a while. Make sure you
Yes.
subscribe to No Borders Sports.
Thank you.
All right. I want to see you guys. I got notifications on, so I want to see you guys putting in some work over there. Hashtag no BS.
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right, Waruna. Have a good rest of your weekend, okay?
Yes, see you.
Thanks. Waruna's the man. That's a 49er diehard right there. Let's run through these comments real quick. Make sure I didn't miss nothing, and then we'll get out of here. Brock could be a good QB with more reps. I think Brock could be a good backup QB. I don't know if his ball kind of hangs up there, right? He doesn't quite have the arm strength, I don't think, to be a a full-time starter, but he's got good mobility. He seems pretty smart. Like he's a guy, like he's a more athletic Nick Mullins, right? Potentially maybe a better decision maker. Kind of remains to be seen. We got to see some more game action from Brock, but I can definitely see him being a good backup. Kind of like a Taylor Heineke, right? I think Heineke's like a solid backup. So that's kind of what I see from Brock. Matt's not a big Kyle fan. Let's see. The facts are on the wall about Kyle. It's funny how Niner fans want to turn a blind eye or just too scared to try something new. You know, Matt, I might be a bit scared to move off of Kyle Shanahan. And it's because of what Jed's done previously, who he's hired, right? Jim Tom Sula, Chip Kelly. So it's like, if we move off Kyle Shanahan, who are we bringing in? I don't know. And the thought of that is a little bit scary. I gotta be honest, Matt. Tommy, shout out for that super chat. He says 2019 was lightning in a bottle. Hey, that was a fun year, man. That was a fun year. Yeah, T says trade Kyle for sure. Hey, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe. Let's get those likes up. Does it happen to Flav? Yeah, I haven't seen Flav. Flav's never hopped in my chat yet. Flav, where you at, Flav? We need some Flav in here. Yep, Ken Dorsey. There it is. Matt's with me on Ken Dorsey. That would be the intriguing name. That'd probably be a top my list right now. What would be Ken Dorsey? I mean, Byron Leftwich. I would have said Byron Leftwich before the year started, but the Bucs are kind of in some turmoil. How much does that have to do with Brady and what he's got going on off the field? But I still kind of like Leftwich. And then Kellen Moore. I'm a Kellen Moore guy. Now with the Dallas Cowboys, the lefty. I've liked him since he was at Boise State. The little lefty just slinging the rock. Smart guy. I do like Kellen Moore. Let's run. Oh, yeah. You know what, Emiliano? Thanks for the correction. Dorsey did go to Miami, not Ohio State. I got my big colleges mixed up, but he won the Natty. And that Miami team was loaded. He was blocked from Larry's show like me. Oh, damn. Oh, wow. I wouldn't. So you don't block Flav, man. You don't block Flav, dude, because he'd be making it rain. Can't block Flav. Yeah. Okay, he's got a burner now. Hey, the chat's live. Chat is live. Flav can take his bags and go with Jimmy. Yeah, we'll see. I don't think Jimmy will be here next year. There we go. Yeah, T's he's on the Dorsey bandwagon. Yep. Oh, damn. Chat's live. I got to catch up on these. Okay. Kafka, that's another hot name I'm seeing in coaching circles. Yeah. Hey, that's going to do it for Baller Takes Callers. Fellas, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you guys for stopping by. Let's get this win tomorrow. 49ers got to win tomorrow, right? Rams ain't that good. They ain't showing me nothing. Let's limit Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's going to get his tomorrow. Make no mistake about it. He's going to catch probably at least 7 or 8 balls, but keep him out of the end zone. Limit the other cast, right? Stop the run. Darrell Henderson cannot have 100 yards. Darrell Henderson is not very good. The Rams' offensive line is not very good. They should not be gashing us through the run. So that means Stafford's going to have to throw the rock. And we got to get after him. Get after Stafford. Put the heat on him. That's going to be the recipe for success. That's going to do it for the show. Thanks for stopping by. Catch y'all.